Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. So our today's topic is Canvas apps. Uh, it, uh, I think we talk about Power Platform during our last conversation because in Power Platform we have three major components. One is the Canvas app. The other one is the model-driven app, and model-driven app on the back end they use Dataverse as a data source. So our target for today is just the Canvas app. I haven't prepared any big presentation. We will directly jump onto the real scenario. Not the real scenario at least for today, but just to give you the overview of the Canvas app itself in a demo. But I just created single slide and just thought to give you some basic understanding what this Power App is, what this Canvas app can do, and what are some of the advantages of the Power App or the Canvas app. Sorry. So when we talk about the Power Apps, it's basically model driven. It could be the model driven app or the Canvas app, but the Canvas app itself is just a standalone component, but it's part of the Power Platform. So Canvas app is very user friendly. It's just a drag and drop interface you have seen before, but we can see again today in a little bit more detail. Customization is very easy. You can integrate with so many different kind of data sources and like different kind of databases. You can even integrate this with Oracle. I know Oracle is not by Microsoft, but any data source. They are predefined kind of data connectors. About more than 200 data connectors are already there given by the Microsoft, but we can even create the custom connector. Even if you have a PHP base, I know most of you are working with the open source. Even if you guys have an open source PHP kind of application and your database is MySQL or any other data source, you can just get the data from that data source using by creating a custom connector in Canvas app and read and display your data inside the Canvas app. It's a responsive design. It's uh, like with the screen resolution, it just adjusts with the screen size, so you don't need to worry about that much. Event driven, so like most of the programming languages and all that, it's just event driven. So you can write code for it based on any of the events. Low code, no code kind of development because Canvas apps are way less code. It's not like the PHP where you have to write a code for every single thing or any other programming language where even for the control, you have to write the code. But here, most of the controls, data connection, most of the things are drag and drop. So you don't need to write code for every single thing. And even um, most of the time, like for the basic kind of application, you don't even need to write even a single line of code, and you can just build some basic kind of application just by using drag and drop. Rapid application development, that's what we talk about. Empowering citizen developers. Citizen developer is a new concept which you and I recently come to know. Basically, Canvas app is so user friendly, and Microsoft is providing, like not the Microsoft only, but even other companies are also providing kind of interface where very less need for the developer, the core developer, because just like the Excel people working on the Excel side are not considered as a developer, but they can do a lot with the Excel because Excel is kind of very user friendly. You have to write some kind of formulas and basic things, but still, it's kind of the citizen developers known as in some of the businesses. Some people are the technical and they can do more than providing the routine business needs. They can do, they can automate their existing processes. So they are basically not the developers, they are the business people, but they have some basic understanding about basic concepts about the development, so they can do the development. So it basically Canvas app is good for the citizen developers as well. It's, you don't need to be a core, a hard coded kind of developer to develop application in Canvas app because of the user friendly interface. Offline functionality, some of the features are available offline as well, even on the mobile. You can store some data offline on the mobile app for mobile applications, user input handling, like you can create the forms and all that, media, multimedia support, publishing and sharing. So these things we're gonna talk in more detail during our demo. So let me jump on to the demo side, but before that, any questions so far?
I think no.
Okay. Uh-huh.
I think no.
Okay. So here, I think we have seen this before. This screen, basically, this is the make.powerapps.com. Abbas has already sent a link where you can just sign up free of cost, free of charge, without your credit card. So I would recommend everyone to go there, sign up. It's a very intuitive, very good platform where we can just develop different kind of application. So here you can see create apps. It's You can see a lot of test applications already sitting in my queue. This is my environment. This is my tenant. Um, I have a lot of different applications, but let's jump and create a simple Canvas app, and we can start talking about it. So let's create. Here we talk about the Power Pages model driven app. So we talk about the Canvas app, like it has more than 200 standard connectors. But for the model driven app, basically model driven app can only connect to the Dataverse. It cannot connect to any other data source. So it's limited to the, it's just kind of the same thing. It's very similar to the Canvas app, but the model driven apps can only talk to the Dataverse. They cannot talk to any other data source. You cannot create the custom connectors for the model driven apps. Model driven apps basically, but within the model driven app, you can call the Canvas app. So you can create, you can retrieve data from different data sources and bring that data back into the model driven app through the Canvas app. But you cannot directly connect a model driven app with any other data source. So just for the basic concepts and understanding, so that we don't struggle. So let's create an app. So what should be the name or any suggestion? It's just the basic, but going forward, what will I will plan for? I couldn't get much time to
The
plan
global name, hello
ahead.
world.
Hello world. Okay, yes. So, but going forward, I had planned to come up with some basic structure of the long ongoing project, which we can just continuously work on during every session. But I will come up with that plan. I haven't decided that yet, but after this session, I will work on it and I will create some kind of the model app, and that we will work together during these sessions and keep working on that to get to the like kind of the professional level. Hello World. Okay, so this is the Hello World app. Let's see. Okay, so this is a screen. Basically, you can see here it's known as the screen. This area where we can do the development is known as the screen, where you can drop different kind of controls. You can add new screen. We currently have only one screen. You can create multiple screens. It just you can consider in web application. It's like a web page. But here we in the Canvas app, these are known as the screen. So here we have some predefined structures or the layouts for these screens. And here we have some templates. Those are already available. So you can just create your first page for your website. You can name it like it's not the website, but it's an application. But if I know some people may be more familiar with the website here than the application, so that's why I'm just trying to compare with the website side. But I can create multiple layouts. I can choose from any of these uh, control or template existing template. So let's just create another screen here. So it's just a screen tool. So here it's asking for add an item from the insert pane or connect to the data. So we can just connect it to the data source. So once we click here, these are the tabs basically. We can see these tabs take us back to the screens section where we can add new screen. And this is basically plus where you can just start using this to drop different kind of controls. It's like the label control, input control, or the button control, whatever control you need. This tab here is basically for the data. You can see after clicking this button, it brought me here to the add data. It's just the same thing. You can connect with the data source. So if I click on to the data, I can see, I think briefly we looked into that during our previous session, but here I can see. So these are basically the connectors. So it's a very big list. We can keep scrolling, but let's see. These are just a predefined, pre-configured kind of the data connectors given by the Microsoft. Most of you can see with the Amazon, you can connect with the Amazon as a data source for your Canvas app. So you can connect with any of these, even with Azure, even with the Google. If you have Google Docs, um, you can connect. You just name it. So even if it is not available and they expose any endpoints, any web services, you can just call those web services back into Canvas apps and create a custom connector based on those APIs. So I can just keep going. So it's a very big, but most common and the standard data source for Canvas app is just the SharePoint. It's a very common kind of the data source. That's what I was just talking to Yasir before this call. Let's connect to,
Does it support OAuth 2 protocol?
sorry,
Does it
OAuth.
support
Yes, it
OAuth 2
supports.
protocol?
Yeah, it supports OAuth.
Okay.
Yeah, it supports. So let me bring in SharePoint in the other tab here. So this is our SharePoint. So I can just let's see this the all company. Let me see if I have any data source available here. Um, okay, we have this one list. We can connect to this list and see. Yeah, here we have this one. Let me just copy the URL. So here, let me go back here again. So add the data source, SharePoint, and in SharePoint, I know that SharePoint is totally another concept, another application. It's widely used. Most of you may not know what that SharePoint is, but we'll plan to have some kind of demo on the SharePoint side as well, where we can just give uh, more detailed kind of overview of the SharePoint because that's very, very important. SharePoint is also very important when we are talking about the Canvas app or the Power apps. But a lot of other applications are also important, but like the Dynamic. But we're gonna be there once we'll cover some basics from the Canvas, model-driven apps, all this, and the data work. Then we can just start jumping on to the dynamic side. I know it's too early for the dynamics for me, based on what I feel, but eventually we'll go to the dynamic side too. So let's connect to the data source. This is just the connection. I'm connected to this user. So I'm going to paste the URL I copied from the SharePoint because we are using SharePoint as our data source. You can just consider as for the open source people, just like the MySQL. So you can just think like it's MySQL on the backend. So it starts showing what kind of tables we have in SharePoint. So for now, I'm just talking about the new hire table. So this is the new hire table and connect. So our connection has established. So now we are good on to the connection side. So connection is here, and let's jump onto this side. So now we have there's another concept, the gallery and the form. So basically, when we are developing any application, any web application, there are two things. Uh, one is to uh, one is to display the content. We have to display the content or the information for the end user. This is the one major concept. And the other major concept is to build a form, to provide a form where users can fill in the information and uh, provide information back to the application owner or the application. Where so for these two concepts, similarly, we have the form. We can use a form, but the form control will give us all the controls within the form where you can fill in the information. And the gallery, basically, galleries are for displaying information. So let's jump onto the gallery for now, at least, just to see the data from our data source. So this is our data source, what we created here. If I jump back here, you can see this is our data source name. So now we can connect this gallery to our data source, which is SharePoint in this case. I know it was showing before, but I can go to advanced and do that, but let's uh, remove this and drop it once more. It's a vertical gallery and there's a horizontal gallery as well, but for now we are just using the vertical gallery. And just click it here and boom, it's so quick. We got the data, everything already started displaying here. It's so quick. So far I haven't written even a single line of code and it is providing us all the basic information. So the basic layout is already there. We haven't write even a single line of code. So it's reading all the information from the SharePoint side. So I go the Jammy, these columns are being displayed in our Canvas app now without even a single line of code. So that's why it's known as no code, low code kind of solution because Microsoft market it as a no code, low code kind of solution. And going forward, based on the AI implementation, they are adding a lot more. So with the AI, you can leverage a lot of different new things, even without doing much coding. So here now, if I click onto the added fields, you can see fields are here. So we can define what needs to be here, what needs to be shown here. We can change. It's reading all the content, all the data. For the images, we don't have any images here in this table. That's why it's not showing any images, but we can, if we have images in SharePoint table or list, then we can start showing images here too. But in this case, we don't have any. This is basically, if you see, just the title, the subtitle, and this is basically the main title, the field. These fields are coming back from uh, the SharePoint side. So this is how you can just quickly get the data. You can change what kind of field needs to be added, and you can add or remove fields directly to just the drag and drop browsing through. So the next screen, let's jump on to we created another screen. So this was the screen one. So if I go add another screen, just a blank screen, just like this, screen three. And here insert a form with the same data. So we already got the data source. So let's drop a form. Any questions so far? I'm just talking. I don't know if other everyone is just sleeping on the back end, but any question? Okay, silence is concurrent, so let's see. I'm going to connect it with the same data source. So I can just type in the data source name here and it will bring in. This is basically uh, event section, event or the property. That's where you can just update the property. We'll keep talking about this, how this application development works here and how someone is in the lobby, I guess. Yasir, can you please take care of it?
Okay.
Yasir, are you
Yeah,
there?
good.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, yes. Yeah, let Abbas
Yeah,
in.
someone is in the lobby. Yeah, okay, yeah. Or if there is any text message, please let me know because I'm not looking into that script. So here, now we connected the form with our same data source. So from here, we can add what kind of fields we wanted to read from our data source. So we can just pick and choose. Um, I'm just randomly picking up some, not that many, but just few columns. I'm just picking up. Let's see, and click on add. So basically, it brought in data for us. It created the form for us. So we didn't do anything at all. So no code, without writing even a single line of code, it's doing everything for us. So that's the beauty of this. Um, so I click because it was just the edit view. Now I just created a new view. Now it should be visible here. So we can enter data. We can just create a submit button and do most of the stuff directly from here very easily. We can edit data, add new entries in tables, everything directly from here with not much effort, with very less effort. Any question? So this is form control. We can add more controls from departments created by. and we can navigate through, we can restructure them, we can do everything. If in case we need to insert a submit button, um, is the button, we can insert it here and write a script, write a program for the submit option. Like once the form is filled in, we can submit and it can go, the data will go back into the data source. Currently, our data source is SharePoint in this case. So this is how we can connect uh, Canvas apps with the different data sources. So this time we connected, simply just connected our Canvas app with a single data source, and we worked on displaying data and creating a form. So we created two screens, and we can create navigation between these three. We can create navigation between these screens. We can create headers. We can do everything. Like lot of different things are available. Those we can create. So uh, let's do something for this screen. If in case we wanted to have some header from the at the top, let's bring in some quick header here for our application. So we can choose from the shapes, bring in rectangle, and just create a quick header here. So there's another concept. I know it may be too early to talk about, but eventually we're gonna talk about that. So for now, I'm just creating header here in this app. But the ideal scenario is to create a component. So it offers us to create a component and call those. You can create your custom components, and those components can be reutilized, reused. So if you see here, we have new component. So we can create a component like just a header, because we need to have this header on all of the screens, right? So if in case I create this, insert label, so label text, if I say here XOFT systems, normal, let's make it bold and change the color of it. Text color must be white or, or any other. And the font size we can increase to 30 for now at least, to just make it. So this is how you can just very easily create and design something. So before next session, I will create some kind of header. We will create header and we'll start building a real life scenario application. But I know for today at least, it's just kind of a little bit random. But going forward, we'll build our own component and we'll focus on that component and we'll keep building our application, planned application. But you can build these headers as a component and reutilize. It would be just like a control, just like regular controls, like the text control or drop down control. It would be a component and you can just drag and drop anywhere in your application. But for now, I just created like this. But going for during next session, we will create a component and reuse that component within our application or upcoming application. So So this is how you can just define and design. I know we haven't talked about layouts and how we can structure things much, but I think for today this is good enough to for you guys to just start browsing through, start learning through, because it's very easy. It's very simple. So everyone got some basics, how to connect to the data sources, how to drag and drop different controls. I can just recap a little bit, few things. I know some people joined a little late. So we have two things for the data. For the data view, we are using the gallery here. So this is basically a gallery which helps us to display the content information. And on the other screen, which we have created here, basically it's screen 3. This is basically a form. This helps us to get information from the user. So we have the form control, we have the gallery control, and these are basically the screens. You can always add new screens. Screen is just like a page, a web application page. So here in Canvas app, the screen is a web page. You can consider like that. And um, you can create as many screens. There's no known limit, to me at least. And you can create galleries to display the content and the forms to get the information back from the end users. And these are the regular controls for application developers. They already know these controls like text box, drop down, or any such controls. But the good thing with this one is we have the AI controls as well, AI builder as well. So we can uh, do the AI kind of stuff. These are the input control, the date picker, everything is already there. And for the display, we have HTML control. We can create HTML, we can write HTML within those HTML controls and display here. So, any question? So, I think I would say everyone just browse through whatever
Yasin,
we
you can
have
speak
learned
it
so far.
instead of typing the message. Yasin, are you hearing me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you. I just wanted to see that left side navigation components, but sir already have showed all these
Components,
components.
yes. Yes. Basically, these are reusable components. So
Right.
we can create a component and we can reuse them within our application. So let's click here. So this is basically a component. So let's do this. Insert whatever I was doing before onto this other screen. Let's do this. Shapes, rectangle. So if I create this as a header, I can recall this header on all of these screens. It's a component. It's a separate piece of code which I just develop and design, and I can just reuse it as a component anywhere on any of the screens. So I don't need to recreate this thing for all of the screens. So I can just create once and reuse it on all of the pages. Does that make sense? So if I say XOFT systems, so this is basically a control component one now. So I can drop this component on any of the screens. Once I publish it, I know it's not published yet, and I can even pass some values through the custom properties. So these are the custom properties. So yeah, we're gonna talk about these in detail in later lectures, but I know this was just the basic bird um, like basic overview of the entire Canvas app so that you get some basics. And once we start jumping onto the more detailed kind of overview, then you should have some basic understanding. So it's basically whatever we talked today is to give you some basic understanding so that you can just browse through this now. I know Abbas sent you how you can sign up for our platform. So for everyone, please sign up and start browsing through. Start creating these apps, just the test app, and start connecting it to the any of the data sources. I know the most standard one is just the SharePoint, but you can connect to any of the other data sources and start browse and see how you can connect, how you can read the data from other data sources, and how you can display. And then we'll start focusing on more detailed kind of pieces. I know the component will create. We created this test kind of component. I know we can just start utilizing these components back into our screens, and so we don't need to design that header for each and every screen or copy paste for different applications, because these components can be used for other applications as well. So this is a single application. So even if I create multiple applications, I can utilize those components over and over. So I don't need to rewrite those headers. But we will create that header component, a detailed header component during our upcoming session, and build up a standalone application. So we need to come up with a standard application, or like daily use or kind of application which is kind of a real kind of scenario. So we need to come up with that. So I haven't planned that yet, but we'll definitely come with some kind of plan on that. So any other question? Any question?
Yasin, go ahead.
जी सर, मैंने पूछा है कि ये ऐप्स हम वेब और मोबाइल पे एट द सेम टाइम यूज कर सकते हैं?
Okay, good question. Yeah, हम ये भी मोबाइल पे भी यूज कर सकते हैं. Yes, we can use this on mobile phone as well. Basically, these apps are for the mobile users as well, because if you see, by the time we were creating this application, there was an option tablet or the phone. It was not there was no option for the web application or such like web based. Basically, these are meant for tablet, phone, and for the browser as well, for all three.
Right, sir. Got it.
So yeah, and mostly these are not the other thing. Most of these applications, what we are talking about when we talk about the web application, basically web application is for general public. But when we are talking about the Canvas app, mostly these applications are for the internal users, at least for now. But for the external user, if we expose, like for example, my XOFTSYSTEMS.com, let me bring it up. If I have this XOFTSYSTEMS.com, this is a web application, right? It's a website. So this website is for the public. But what we are talking about here is not for the common people, not for the public. It's for the organization. It's for mostly these applications are for the internal user, because for even if you create this application for the external user, it may cost you a lot more, and it may not be the feasible because it cannot handle that much traffic. These applications are basically for the internal usage, for because within the organization, with like big organizations, they have to have a lot of different smaller applications for their internal users. So these are mainly used for the internal user, because for the internal user, there won't be like not millions of users would be accessing this application at the same time simultaneously, because for this one, it's a public application, it's a public website. It can be accessed by million users at the same time. But this application, I don't think it can handle million users at the same time. Million users come in and start filling in this form. No way. It won't be able to handle that. because these are meant for the internal users, whoever has access to their system, to the organization.
We
Yes,
can say it's just a backend of an web application.
back end
Some
office
request
application.
came in, we have to respond the query, then we can use these kind of interfaces to respond back or some process to process some individual data.
Absolutely, that's good. So let me show one application. During the next session, I will bring up big application. This is not as big. I'm just working on one of the client application. Oops, it says sorry, I don't have access. Let me see. Uh, but I have another application which is pretty big. Uh, even I was surprised to see that big application in Canvas app. Generally, I prefer to have a very smaller application, but the application recently I'm working on is very pretty big. It's not kind of a, but it's sometimes I feel like it's bigger for the Canvas apps. But so let's see, this is one of the app. Uh, someone has, I'm just been working for someone. So these are basically, you can see different kind of forms. This is a Canvas app. You believe that it just it's just a kind of simple application, simple page. You can just design this. Um, so there are multiple screens you can see. But during the next session, I will bring in the other application that's not on my system yet. Uh, let me see if I have. Um, let's see. Yeah, there. This one. So this one is also a Canvas app. You can navigate through. You can fill in. It's basically for the internal user. It's pretty big application. It's not as small. It's just to place orders. It's basically for B2B application. It's a business to business application where um, this company can communicate to his business customers, and you can navigate because business customers can have access to their platform. So this is how they can design, they can develop. It's just a procurement. So yeah, even I don't have much access. So these are the applications we can build in the Canvas app. It's interesting. So you stay tuned. We will come up with some kind of real-time scenario, and we'll keep building that Canvas app during our session here. And I think now I can see Osama is also here, and even I think Osama mentioned he's ready for the next session. So we'll see if Osama is available for the next session or someone else. Then we can have more. But I will talk to Osama about what could be our scenario, our future scenario. So we'll work on, and then we'll start presenting based on that real time scenario. We'll keep working on that. Okay, and I think that's pretty much it for today's session, unless if someone has any question. Any question?
Nope,
No problem,
I
man.
think it's pretty good.
So for so good. You may carry on.
Yes, please. There was any question?
No, I think it's okay.
Okay. There was one option to. There's option always option to have a transcript, but I'm just trying to see if that we can enable that transcript so that it's easier for everyone to, like, if someone has missed anything, they can just read the transcript. I'm just trying to see here. I don't see the option, but there it says the transcript, but where's the transcript? I don't see. I may need to find it. No, because if people wanted to just see, oh, here we go. Okay, that's where. Oops, nope. The transcript is no. Yeah, the transcript is coming here. How to bring it over?
Just at the
So
bottom of the what you are talking, it's auto typing it.
yeah, it's yeah, that's what I was just talking about because it gives you the transcript, but where I can bring it and show it because if someone wanted to go and revisit this video, they can just if they could not get my accent or something, they can just read the English context here. But I don't know how to get to that. But yeah, I will see. I'll see if there's any. Yes, Zishan. Yes, please.
It's just a suggestion that for the upcoming session, let's target the weather forecasting app. It will be good for anyone to start it, do a kickstart. I think so.
Sorry, what you said?
I'm talking about the weather forecasting app. Let's try to incorporate this app in Canvas.
Oh,
Let's build this.
oh, in Canvas. Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Whatever idea you come up with. So I'm thinking to have some kind of real scenario based application so we can keep building for next 5 to 4 to 5 or 5 to 6 kind of session. So this time I was just thinking, but I was so busy I couldn't focus on that. But next time we can come up with some kind of thoughts which we can just keep building during our upcoming session that will help us to that basically that will help everyone to understand how a Canvas app can help in real case scenarios because I have
It's a good
seen
option to
some.
build an weather forecast. I have some complex idea that we can build some kind of employee evaluation form that can build for some HR manager. HR manager can throw some emails to get reviews and some metric points, and after that evaluation, there are some marking that you got a 60%, 40%, and on that basis, you can award some annual increment in the salary. It,
Yeah,
maybe
that's a
it
good
works.
idea. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, whatever comes up. Yeah, we can talk about that. Um, any question? I think yeah, that's it for today. So yeah, I will share the recording link. I'm going to stop the recording and I will share the recording link. If someone could not access, please reach out